What's up out there? We had ExileCon 2023 last night, and a lot of people were asking me about my thoughts. Now, I did think about recording a reaction video as it streamed, but then I thought that's like an hour worth of video. I don't think people are going to want to watch the thing twice. And I kind of wanted to just get out of this room. This is where I do my day job. And I just wanted to get out of here, go sit on the couch and just relax and chill out. Been a long week in a lot of ways. So I needed to just go deflate for a little bit, and watching ExileCon did not help. And once it got done, I ended up turning on some music and just sat there and chilled for a little bit to just really deflate. So there was a lot of things announced and my head was spinning when this thing got done. So let's dive into the whole thing. I started watching it at 4:30. They had like a half an hour lead up to it. And I thought, well, I'll sit down and watch it, make my supper, get all that taken care of, let the dog out, that kind of stuff. And then I'd be ready for 5 o'clock when the big keynote started. And I liked the way they did that. You get a count. So I'm going to talk about the conference itself, the live stream that we watched for a few minutes here. The first thing you get is a countdown. Hey, it's coming soon, and then, it's like 3 minutes till, and it's like, come on. And then, you're watching it tick down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As soon as that thing hit one, you got 4 dudes sitting on a couch talking about Path of Exile. And there was no break. There was no streaming issues. There was no audio glitches. It was just bam, dudes talking about the game. And I don't know who those people were myself. They listed them all out as Twitch streamers. So I presume them to be probably leaders in the Path of Exile community, streamers in that regard. But I thought it was very cool that you're sitting there with they flew these guys in. They're all sitting there just talking about the game. They're talking about what they think Path of Exile 2 is going to be like, what's going to happen with Path of Exile 1, speculating on some things. Their conversation was very fluid. I thought it was very well done. It did not feel rehearsed or acted out in any way, shape, or form. It just felt like organic. Some dudes sitting on the couch, and you're just sitting there in the room taking part with them, having the conversation. You're sitting there watching them have the conversation, like you're at a big party and people are talking and you got some people that are getting into a debate about something, not like a heated debate, but they're just talking about stuff and you're interested in their conversation. I thought that was a good way to start it. Now, the thing that really struck me, and the more I thought about the whole show as like the night went on, and then I went to bed and woke up in the middle of the night and I thought, a big light bulb went off. That was a brilliant move by Grinding Gear Games. So they introduced you to the Path of Exile, Big ExileCon of 2023, not with gamers, not with journalists or celebrities, actors, sports heroes. Like they didn't hire a rapper or somebody to come in there and put on some cringy show or whatever. They flew in regular gamers, just our peers that play this game or these games soon to come here. They brought in those people. I'm sure they got paid. Nothing wrong with that at all by any stretch. What they didn't do is pay people that are completely unattached to the game to come in and sit down and talk to you about a game and try to get you interested in something artificially, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And then when the keynote started, you get the big countdown. These guys bowed out and said, all right, we're done. The keynote starts. Another streamer comes on. Hey, welcome to ExileCon. Like, you're not introduced to any corporate suit at any point. You're not sitting there looking at some developer that's been in the basement down there running code for 6 months and hasn't touched grass or seen daylight. Somebody that can barely speak. You're looking at people who that's probably their day job is streaming and talking about this game and just being in front of public in general. And they're also big fans of the game. That is one awesome way to introduce people to ExileCon. You're not looking at all the business decisions on it. You're looking at the people that play the game. And I thought that was fantastic. And then you get Chris Wilson comes out, says, I'm Chris Wilson. Here's Path of Exile 2. There was no wasting time, mincing words. It was just boom. He comes on. Here's PoE 2. Go. And a lot of I watch a lot of these different shows that come out, whether it's one for the Microsoft one that they do where they release a bunch of games, or whether it's the Sony one. I've watched that in the past, or I've not really watched a BlizzCon because I don't really care all that much. But I watch a lot of the ones where they're going to release a whole bunch of games, and even like where you see a bunch of different developers all at the same time, and you can tell some are better at it and more comfortable at it. It's kind of interesting watching one that's specific to a specific developer with one game in mind or two games in mind. Like, it's not Microsoft where they're going to release 15 studios worth of stuff. This is one studio with one vision in mind, and that's it. So it's kind of a little bit different. But, you know, looking at some of these other ones that I've seen in the past and comparing it to this, I thought was really cool. And just the overall thing, nothing felt dry or forced. Like, they didn't try to do anything stupid, or, you know, there was no awkward pauses. Like, there were some hiccups where somebody, you know, trip over words or something. I do that. It's not that big a deal. But it didn't feel like they pulled somebody out and said, all right, you're going to stand in front of 10,000 people and give this speech and, you know, do it right. You know, it didn't feel like any of that. And they came out banging, man. They came out hard. And I don't feel like they were trying to come out against a particular opponent, namely like Diablo 4 or anything like that. I don't think they care anymore. I think they were coming out swinging hard to show you what they're going to come out with for their game. You know what I mean? This is what you've got to look forward to. The competition, whatever. We got our own thing going. We're good. And they just marched on. The confidence level was pretty good. And they did not waste time. I thought the whole thing was pretty interesting. It was, what, an hour and a half long? And I was engaged the entire time. And they wasted no time on the mobile client. They just kind of, at the very end, they're like, hey, if you want to check it out, it's over there, see its progress. There you go. No audio issues, no streaming hiccups. There was no problems. Like, it was very well done. That the streaming part itself, I don't know if people can appreciate how much went into that to make it happen. Because I see streams all the time, whether it's for work or whatever, and sometimes they're kind of janky and they don't work. There was no issues here. It just worked. And I like the card game aspect of it too. I thought that was pretty cool for the people that attend. Maybe other cons do that, I'm not sure, but I thought that was kind of cool, you know? So that was the conference itself. I really liked the overall presentation. I thought everybody was very, I don't want to say professional because that implies that you're some kind of corporate suit or something, but I thought everything was so well done and crisp and clean. No hiccups, no problems. Maybe there were some unforeseen things with dude dying against the boss, but whatever. I mean, it is what it is. They just rolled with it and kept going. And I liked that. I thought that was awesome. So next up, we have Path of Exile 2. And like I said, they just dove right into this thing. They just started launching and swinging hard. I was like, oh my God, they're just non-stop. The whole two separate games thing, I was kind of surprised. The first thing I'm thinking is, why don't they put it in a single launcher? And then I thought, well, I'm on Steam, and it would make sense to split. You know, Steam's already a launcher, so they would just make two different games. And I don't have a problem with that. I care less. You put 3 different games on there for all I care, if, you know, and just pick the one I want. So they also mentioned about staggering the seasons. So you're going to have Path of Exile 1 season will overlap to the Path of Exile 2 season, and they are not going to stop Path of Exile 1 seasons. I was like, dude, that's like a lot of work, man. And not only for them, that's like a full-time job to play Path of Exile, I think, because you're going to get done with one league and be immediately in the next league. So I don't know if that's going to dilute the leagues down or if they're just going to buff up their team and get more people and throw more at it. I don't know. But man, I was like, wow, that's kind of that's an undertaking right there. And so if you have not seen, the closed beta will start in approximately a year. It's June 2024. I kept waiting for them to say, all right, you'll be able to play it next month or tomorrow or today or something like that. And they didn't. I was like, all right, whatever. It kind of sucks, but it's cool. Let it simmer. They said they're taking their time with it. That's perfect. You take your time, do what you got to do. Then they started rattling off, like they had the little graphic that showed all the stuff that's in the game. 100 distinct environments, 600 monsters, 100 bosses, 1,500 passive skills. You know, if you've got a problem with player retention now, throwing stats like these up is not going to help. It was the first thing that came to mind. Then you got 36 ascendancy classes, 240 active skills. They're doubling the class types you can pick from. So currently you have like Witcher, Ranger, Duelist, Shadow, Templar, and Marauder. They're dropping the Scion, it looks like. And then they're adding Warrior, Huntress, Sorceress, Mercenary, Monk, and Druid. So pretty much they're kind of overlapping even more. And I was like, wow, it's already a daunting task to tackle 6 classes. Now you've got 12 or 7, whatever it is. But the other side of the coin is everybody's going to be starting on the same page, and nobody knows what anything's like now. I mean, you're getting a taste of it if you get the chance to look at the beta or whatever, but you don't know what the actual game is going to be until it's out. So I thought that was very cool. And I was like, you know what? Everybody's going to be on the same footing and we're all going to be learning from scratch. So probably a good time to learn PoE 1 so that you can see how it transitions into PoE 2. Then they showed a bunch of the gameplay and all that, which I thought was really cool. We'll get into that here in a second. The gem cutting part that they talked about. So basically, instead of a gem, I'm going to make sure I'm saying the right word here, gem or jewel, because they're different stuff. And I keep getting them confused because I think the words all mean the same to me, but in the game, they mean different than they do in real life. So anyway, the gem cutting sounded awesome. So you find just a blank gem, you open up your little book thing, you select your class type, and you say, I want this. And you just imprint that on the skill. So you can just find it out in the map and try it just like it is now. But you're not limited to going and buying stuff. I thought it was really cool. Like you get all those skills right out of the gate. You just pick what you want, put it on the blank and move on. I thought that was really cool. And then they showed off the weapon set changes where I guess people don't use that now, which I really never used it in Diablo either, where you equip two different main combat sets with, what is it, your main hand and your offhand, and then you can switch between them. Apparently everybody uses it today, the offhand part, or not the offhand, but the second tab, they use that to level up their gems and everything. And then this is actually going to auto swap based on what you've got. So if you set something up for one skill and then something kicks off with the other skill, you can actually get it out. And I'm explaining it horribly, but you can equip two different skills at the same time, one on one weapon and one on the other, and it will switch when you kick off the other skill, something like that. I thought that was really cool. That's a really clever way of getting people to use the weapon sets without actually making like different gear or whatever. They just kind of acknowledging, yeah, nobody likes the other weapon set and it's kind of useless, but here's how we're going to make it useful. I thought that was really cool. And then the enemies and bosses, when they were showing off all the different trailers and stuff and showing every little aspect of it off, I was watching the monsters and stuff in the background. I don't know that much about the mechanics. You know, I'm sure there's people that are going to break down all the different cool stuff that was going on and that this was this skill, that was that skill. I'm just not there. But what I liked was the variety in enemies and stuff that you see. Like there's this, one of them, and the first one I thought was hilarious was there's like a bus that rolls in or whatever. Homie comes in and not homie, I've totally messed that up. But dude rolls in and all his homies jump out and, you know, it looked like a giant bus or something. And all these little monsters run off and start chasing you. I thought that was hilarious. And I'm looking forward to seeing stuff like that. Like they had some really crazy monster designs. They had a starfish and, you know, you see your character running away from whatever monsters are chasing it. And this starfish just comes up out of the ground, you know, like it's going to attack it. I thought that was a boss for a minute, but I rewatched that trailer and it's just a regular monster. And then they did get into some bosses. Like they showed a whole bunch of different bosses. There was a Raven boss. Well, they had a bunch of different bosses, but one of the ones that struck me was the Raven boss. I loved the design on that. Or a blackbird, whatever it was, it looked really cool. Whatever that thing was, I liked it. And then we got into one of the two of the big feature fights was the Blackjaw fight where the monk was fighting it, and then the Zacodal fight where the monk and I think it was it the was it I don't think it was Sorceress maybe that was fighting that. I thought that was really cool. I liked the different mechanics that were all on there. It looked really clean and very well done. I thought those were pretty cool. And then they showed a whole bunch of different stills and stuff here and there of the different levels, like some statues, some with blood, you know, rivers of blood and stuff like that. And the statues, the jungles, the buildings, like it just looked awesome. And nice variety in all the different levels. Now, speaking to the monk that they showed directly, the sorceress or whatever that other one was, the magical stuff, that was cool. I was interested, but I really attached to the monk. And maybe because we spent more time with it, maybe because we focused more on the monk for a while. But what I thought was interesting was the combat with him was really slow and more deliberate. And it kind of reminded me of Mortal Kombat for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe some Dark Souls. it looked like it was kind of a really controlled character. Like you're dodging around and you're poking at the monster from different angles. Like it was a more interactive fight. It wasn't just standing there. They weren't just spinning in whirlwind, just going around in circles, watching the thing die. Like they weren't blasting it with spells from 30 feet away, dodge over, blast it with a spell. Like it wasn't just getting mowed down by stuff remotely or easily up close or whatever. Like the fight looked like a boxing match. You know, it didn't look like you were just kind of throwing some things at it and watching it melt down. You know, I think it was more of a visceral fight. And it was like, and you know, you saw a dude die in there. So it was very much a fight for life at that point. And I don't want to say the situation felt dire, but it felt more, words are failing me right now, but it just felt distinct. The combat felt distinct to that class. It looks like they're really focusing on each class being separate from the others. And they did mention something about that, but the monk really showed that. It was very different. It was very deliberate. It was very controlled, maybe. I don't know what the words I'm looking for, but the fighting style did not remind me of an ARPG. It reminded me of something else, maybe more of an action RPG of Diablo, or I'm just not thinking of the way to explain it, but it didn't feel like a Diablo style combat where it's more, like I say, spinning around or whatever. I'm not going to sit on this one any longer, but I liked what I saw with the monk. I liked how that looked different. And if they're going to make all the different combat styles, like they've got 12 combat styles, if all of those are going to be different now, that is incredible that they're spending that kind of detail on those there. So that was Path of Exile 2. June 2024, we don't get to see, but somebody gets to see a closed beta. Then we moved on to the next season, which is Trial of the Ancestors. And that is going to be out on August 18th, which is, unfortunately, about a month from yesterday, I guess. And the downside is I'm playing Crucible. I think we get Baldur's Gate 3 on the 1st or the 3rd or something like that. So that means I have to get Baldur's Gate 3 beat, get through Crucible, play some RuneScape 3. August is going to be a brutal month, I think. So we'll see. We'll see how all this goes. But the tournament thing sounded very cool. The little auto battler or whatever they had set up, it looked interesting. The tournament mechanics or whatever all looked kind of neat. It was okay. I wasn't really totally excited about that. I'm not sure where that fits in. Like, is that in the end game? Is it during the story? Is it just like a separate thing you can go to at any time? I don't remember what they said on that, but it looked cool. The thing that I thought was really cool was the tattoos, where you could go in and just overlay, sockets in your passive tree or something like that. However that was, they said, don't do too much because you'll end up draining your character off of stats and stuff. I thought that was very cool. I liked it. And then they were adding the Sanctum League back in once you get to level 10 or whatever. So, and then they revamped a whole bunch of stuff. Like they listed all that stuff. If you're a current player, you probably already know all the things and you're excited about it. I'm like, cool, new league. It'll be August 18th is going to be a rough day for me because then I'm gonna have to start over and just plow through that and, stop playing Baldur's Gate, stop playing RuneScape, stop playing whatever else. There's too many games out, man, too much. So overall, like I said, I really liked ExileCon. I really thought their streaming was excellent. The show itself was well done. I sat there, just kind of chilled out and watched. Some of it, I don't want to say it this way, but some of it got a little boring. And I don't mean it like it was boring. It's just, there was long stretches of stuff where, they're going through the jungle, killing mobs and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. For the people that are more interested or more in tune with how the game works and the skills and everything, they probably enjoyed that a lot. And it's not that I didn't enjoy it. It's just that I was kind of like, well, let's go to the next thing. But at the same time, I was totally intrigued by all of it, and I'm, taking it in, and it was a good time to get up and go take a leak or go grab a snack or whatever. So I'm not complaining. Overall, I think, this was a 9 out of 10. I mean, it was a banger of a show. It was not, it was intriguing throughout the whole thing and all the stuff they showed, and I had a great time watching it. But I had to kind of just deflate, not have a big foggy head. I thought about doing this recording last night, but I was drained. I was like, done. I played some Path of Exile and then went to bed. And then bought some microtransactions here and there. I finished out my stash tab collection. And I have some nice new shiny stuff that they showed off yesterday. Unfortunately, or fortunately. So anyway, that will do it for this video. We will catch you on the next one. Take care.